This is the sixth one. This section 6. Yeah. Okay, all of you are able to see the presentation. Excuse me. Yeah. With our gratitude to the teacher who has given us this knowledge through this course, we will begin our journey. Today's session is substance and shadow. Okay, so in today's session of substance and shadow, what we are going to learn is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That is, with whatever we have, let us see what is our relationship. I will explain what it is. So first A, we're going to learn about the attraction principle. B, we're going to learn the difference between boss and das. C, we're going to learn how to choose between original and fake. D, we're going to see about how the dazzling beauty around us, which is enamoring us so much, that is the glamour of the world, how it can deteriorate shortly. And, we're going to see something about all the movie actors and actresses and all the models. We are so fascinated about what is the true reality behind the screen. We're going to see that. So after that, we will see who is the real friend, who is our true friend of our heart. We're going to see that. Something about the difference between government and jail, and yeah, the difference between happy and horrible world, and how we can make our choice. So all these concepts we're going to learn today. So first is attraction. Yeah, the attraction principle. So in our life, we are all attracted to something. Yes, okay, or we are attracted to a person because of something, right? So what is it that attracts you to a person or a thing? What makes a person attractive?
His way of talking.
Way of talking. Wow. Very nice. Yes, way of talking makes a person attractive. Anything else? What will make you get attracted to any person? Any other answer?
His personality.
Personality. Yeah, it means how they look, how they walk, how they talk. Okay, good answers. Any more?
Character.
Character. Yes. So many aspects attract us to a person. Okay, so for example, we are so much attracted to the glamour of this world. The whole movie industry, for example, is running on the basis of this. It's utilizing our propensity to be attracted to something and they're showing us attractive things so that we get attracted and spend our time with them. So, but basically, where is this attraction principle coming? What is the origin? That we are going to see. So, everyone is attracted to someone beautiful. Yeah, one is, as one of you said, we are attracted by their personality. That means their beauty. Or we are attracted to a person maybe because they're wealthy. Someone who has a lot of wealth makes that person attractive. For example, we are naturally attracted to somebody who has a princely charm, or when they have a lot of power with them, it makes them attractive. A person who is very strong. Why everybody loves to watch heroes perform on screen, though it is not real. Why we are attracted? Because power is attractive. Yeah, we are also attracted to power. And somebody who is world famous also makes them attractive. Yeah, for example, all of us know who is Mahatma Gandhi ji. All of us know who is Mother Teresa. And they're very attractive. Why? Because their fame. Fame also makes a person attractive. So, like this, there are 6 opulences. All the attractive principles are categorized into 6 opulences. And these opulences are present in one person. Generally, when we see in this material world, we get attracted to person because of any of these opulences that are present in a minute spark or quantity. Isn't it? Like, for example, yeah. So, but who is the possessor of all these opulences, and who is the origin of all these opulences? That is stated in Bhagavad Gita. And also, there is a great saint called Parashara Muni who gives a definition of one who possesses all these opulences. In Sanskrit, opulences means it's translated as Bhaga, and one who possesses is Van, Bhagavan. Like, for example, Bhagyavan. Bhagyavan means one who has lot of fortune in his life. Dhanavan means one who has lot of wealth in his life. Yeah. So similarly, Bhagavan means one who possesses the 6 opulences. So that is a definition of Bhagavan. We generally call many people Bhagavan, but Bhagavan has a definition. What is the definition of this Bhagavan? Parashara Muni gives. One who possesses the 6 opulences of beauty, strength, knowledge, fame, renunciation, and power. Yeah, beauty, wealth, knowledge, fame, strength, and renunciation. These are the 6 opulences. One who possesses all these opulences to an infinite extent and simultaneously. ఇప్పుడు మనం what we see in the material world is just a small spark, but and that too it is there for a while and it is lost after some time, right? For example, beauty anagane, whom do you remember? Maybe some top heroine. That top heroine or Miss India or Miss World or Miss Universe is beautiful for some time. Once the old age comes, no glory left. Like, for example, Sushmita Sen, she was Miss Universe decades ago. Right now, how she looks is totally different. Nobody will, when you say beauty, I'm sure none of us will immediately think of Sushmita Sen anymore. We now think of somebody else. So that means it was there, the spark was there for some time, and later, by the effect of time, that spark slowly gets extinguished. So that is the presence of the opulence for a temporary period, and that too in a small extent, minute quantity. Similarly, wealth. So wealth, today somebody has it, tomorrow someone else. And even if you have wealth to a huge extent, at least by the end of life, you don't carry that wealth along with you. That person loses it all. Yeah, so wealth is also not something a person can have eternally. Knowledge also not. Can anybody claim they have full knowledge, complete knowledge? A person may be knowledgeable, that makes them attractive, but they cannot have infinite knowledge and for all time. Fame also relative. It's a spark, lasts for some time. So is strength and so is renunciation. But Bhagavan is that personality in whom all these opulences exist in infinite quantity, not just spark, but infinite quantity, and they are present eternally. That means time cannot diminish any of these opulences in Bhagavan, and they're all present simultaneously. Simultaneously ante, in this material world, the beauty, if a person may be beautiful, they might be beautiful, but at the same time they might not be intelligent, or they may have both beauty and intelligence, they might not be famous, or they might have all the three, they might not be renounced. So it's not that one can have all these opulences simultaneously all together, but Bhagavan is that personality who has all the six opulences. Three things: infinitely, that means infinite extent amount, you cannot count how much it is, and eternally and simultaneously. That is Bhagavan. This is definition is given by Parashara Muni. So if a personality holds all this together, then he can be given the title of Bhagavan. Yeah. So last time we also discussed the difference between the Jiva and Paramatma, right? The Jivatma and Paramatma. So Jiva is like a drop of water, drop of water in the ocean, and the Paramatma or the Bhagavan is like the ocean. So small drop means it is same in quality, but not in quantity. That is the difference between this Jivatma and Paramatma. So the soul, that is why also being a part and parcel, just like drop is part and parcel of the ocean, the soul is part and parcel of Bhagavan. So the soul also possesses the characteristic of God, but in minute proportion. Like for example, the drop of water possesses the property of saltiness of seawater. Yeah, you taste one drop, that drop is also salty, the sea is also salty. Same properties, but the magnitude is incomparable. It's quite different. Similarly, the Jiva, the soul, also has these qualities of the opulences to a minute extent. And this minute extent is what is enamoring us so much. It is the attractive principle in a person. So why do we get attracted to a person? Beauty. Yes, but what is the origin of this beauty? Where did it come from? So it came from the Supreme Lord, who is a possessor of that to a fullest extent. So that is what is the definition. Like for example, as I said, beauty. So you remember the heroines. Wealth, you remember Bill Gates. Knowledge, you remember Einstein. Strength, of course, all the solid heroes. Then fame, Mahatma Gandhi, Sachin Tendulkar. And renunciation, you remember the great acharyas of India. So as I said, all of them have these opulences to a small extent, minute spark. But who is the personality who possesses all of them to an infinite extent? That person is called Bhagavan. For example, Lord Krishna. Let us understand what is his beauty. Yeah, we're all enamored by beauty. But what is the beauty of Lord Krishna? It is said that in Vrindavan, when Lord Krishna is walking by, just observing his beauty, the water of Yamuna, which is flowing, it starts flowing in the opposite direction, being stunned by his beauty. There are a lot of descriptions that are given in the scriptures about the beauty of the Lord, how beautiful are his eyes, and a lot of things. So the Lord, the whole world is captivated by Cupid, Madana, right? When Madana puts his arrow, nobody can, like Kamadev, when Kamadev shoots his arrow, nobody can tolerate it. We succumb to that attraction. And the same Madana, he's also called Kandarpa, the god of Cupid or the god of love. So the same Kandarpa, how many Koti, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Sobham, Govindam. Brahma Samhita states, talks about the beauty of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. And in that Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says that Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That means crores of cupids at once get attracted to the beauty of Lord Krishna. That is the extent of his beauty. So it is incomparable, that is irresistible, and it is the origin. So Lord Krishna, he is the origin of all beauty. In fact, the name Krishna itself means all attractive. Krish means akarshati iti Krishna. So the word Krish has its roots in the attraction principle. And Krishna means one who attracts. So Krishna, he attracts everyone with his beauty. And what to speak of wealth, the amount of wealth that Lord Krishna exhibited when he has come to this material world 5,000 years ago. When he was in Dwaraka, Krishna has 16,108 queens. And it is said that to each of these queens, he has built a palace, a separate palace. And these palaces were built of rubies, emeralds, and the gates are made of gold. The canopies and all the bedsteads were made of corals. The flooring was made of all precious stones, and flooring were made of such precious jewels that when you walk, you didn't need a mirror. All the jewels were reflecting your image. And Lord Krishna, he used to give donate lakhs and lakhs of cows every day to the Brahmanas. So you cannot imagine the kind of wealth that's described in the pages of Bhagavatam about what kind of wealth was there in Dwaraka, and Krishna has descended. So we say, we say somebody has crores, we say he's Karodpati or Lakpati. But who is Krishna? He's Lakshmipati. That means he's the Lord of all the wealth that is present in this world. So we cannot compare. This is what is presence of opulence into the fullest extent, infinite extent. So that is the wealth. An example of knowledge. What is the knowledge of Lord Krishna? Krishna has given the entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna in 700 verses. Yeah, in just matter of about an hour, a time span of more than an hour. And in that 1 hour, whatever Krishna has given, till date, nobody is able to completely have a full grasp of what that knowledge is. People understand, they try to remember, and I'll tell you, if you read Bhagavad Gita 10 times, the 11th time you read it, you have a new understanding of what Krishna is telling. So you cannot, and all the Vedas just emanate from his breath. And the entire transcendent, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Lord Krishna is the supreme guru of everybody. He's the origin of the entire knowledge. And he gives the knowledge in different paramparas. Yeah, he gave the knowledge initially to Lord Brahma. Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedaischa sarve aham eva vedya, Vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. That is Vedanta krit, the one who is the giver of the Vedas, and Veda vid, that means the knower of Vedas. That is me. So that's what Krishna tells. So the infinite knowledge. And then strength. What to speak of strength when Lord Krishna has descended in Vrindavan 5,000 years ago. So he lifted the massive Govardhana hill. This Govardhan hill is still present in Vrindavan. If any of you get to visit Mathura, beside Mathura is Vrindavan. The Govardhan hill currently, it expands. It extends to a diameter of 17 kilometers. That's how big this mountain is today. And Krishna has lifted that big hill at the tip of his left little finger. So you cannot imagine what is that strength. That is the strength of the Lord. Some people, they start saying They want to imitate God. Some people, especially in movies, we see they marry two heroines and say that even God has married a number of people. Krishna has married, he has 16,108 wives. Why can't I have at least few? So you can answer them. Krishna, before marrying so many wives, he lifted the Govardhan hill on his left hand finger and kept it like that for 7 days and 7 nights continuously. So you try to at least lift a chair with your left hand, little finger, and just hold it. Forget little finger. You hold it with your left hand and hold it for 1 hour. Then we can talk about imitating God. So one cannot, compare the strength. And that is why one should not imitate the ways of God. And fame. So the fame of Lord is, Krishna is all famous. The whole world knows about who Lord Krishna is. See, 5,000 years ago, Krishna has performed pastimes, and till date, we are all discussing about it. Everybody, I think, in India, especially knows who is the butter thief, Makanchor. Everybody, all of us know who is Lord Krishna and who is Radharani, and all the episodes of Mahabharata. All of us know it. So that is the fame of Krishna. What happened 5,000 years ago, till date, they're still fresh and we're still discussing about it. That is lasting fame. Okay. And renunciation. So Krishna, though he was such a great supreme Lord, when it came to expressing his love for his devotees, he never held a great big position of opulence. See, for example, in the normal world, there is a big, very wealthy person, let us say, and his uh, his driver is driving him on a big what limousine. Limousine is a very big car, or let's say Mercedes Benz. He's going in a Benz car. So for a moment, I mean, let's say this rich person, he has a very good opinion about the driver. But how much ever good opinion he has, how much ever he likes him, can there be a time when the boss says, "Okay, now I will drive, you sit in the back seat"? Will the rich man ever say something like that? No, because he knows what his position as a boss is, and he would never do something like that. But look at Krishna. He had such love for his devotee Arjuna that he became the charioteer. Yeah, where is Krishna? He's the supreme lord of the entire universe, but he took such a humble position of the chariot driver. You know who is a chariot driver? If the person behind says take right, you have to take right. If he says left, you have to take left. And in the war, if you say go fast, you have to go fast. You have to actually fulfill the orders of your boss. And that is the position that Krishna took for Arjuna, because that's how much he loved his devotees, that he would do anything for them. And we also see when in Dwaraka, when Sudama, Krishna's best friend Sudama, came to meet him. Yeah, Sudama Brahman, he had no money at all. He was wearing tattered clothes. The clothes were torn and he was so ragged. He was practically penniless. He did not have any money. So when he came, Krishna actually escorted him into his personal chambers, made him sit on his own bed, and washed his feet with his own hands. What you're seeing in the picture. And not just washing his feet, even all the thorns that were pricked into his bare feet, because when he was walking on the ground bare feet, he removed it with his fingers and with his teeth. And his wife, the queen of entire Dwaraka, Rukmini Devi, she was, just fanning him with a charmer. So this was how much Krishna loved his friends. And, this is an expression of renunciation. Renunciation means the willingness to give up one's position when it comes to reciprocation of love. If you see in modern day times, let's say two friends are together in college, and one of this friend goes up and after some time he becomes a big movie star. If this old friend of his comes and meets him now, they don't even care. This is a real life example. I have seen it. In my father's junior, one boy. He's the classmate of the Tollywood top star. I'm not telling you the name of that star. He's a topmost person of Tollywood, mana, in Telugu industry. So this friend of my father, when he went to meet this person after he became very famous, that person even denied to recognize him. He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I don't know who you are," and he sent him away. This is what happens when a person becomes very famous and rich. They become very attached to their position. They develop a lot of pride, so much so they don't care about their old friends at all. Even if they come, because they're not rich, you always think that they have come expecting something, so I'll keep some distance. But look at what Krishna has done, how he has received Sudama, his good old friends. Krishna is the supreme king of the entire Dwaraka. I just told you the opulences Dwaraka had. And Sudama Brahman, he was in such rags, but he received him and offered him all respects and all love and all honor. And he was so happy to just eat the chipped rice, atukulu, which Sudama Brahman has brought from his wife. So this is what is renunciation, not being attached to one's position. So many such examples.
Hello? Why? Yeah.
Who is, yeah, okay. So many such example. Lord Krishna actually, as when he was a small child, if you see in the picture, he used to hold the footwear of Nanda Baba on his head, and he used to take them to him when he was going out. So that was how loving he was. So these are all examples of renunciation, and Krishna exhibits the highest and most infinite extent of renunciation as well. So Bhagwan or God is one who's full in six opulences, and these opulences reflect minutely in our heroes whom we adore. Like we adore Virat Kohli, because of his fame or strength, or we adore some movie actors because of their beauty. Why we're all getting attracted to them? Because they are just reflecting a small spark of the opulences which actually are originating from the complete whole, Lord Krishna. He is the origin of these opulences, the Bhagavan. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam srimad ujjitam evava tattat evavagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam. That means all these opulences that you're seeing, O Arjuna, they are but a minute particle of my own splendor. So all the opulent, beautiful and glorious creations, they spring, but it's just a spark of my splendor. So Krishna is telling that in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter. Yeah, so as I said, Bhagavan means one who possesses all opulences. And how do we know that Krishna is Bhagavan? As we said, he fits the definition of Bhagavan, and he's addressed as Bhagavan in all the greatest scriptures. That is, in Bhagavad Gita, in 28 times, Krishna is addressed as Bhagavan. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, about 140 times he is addressed as Bhagavan. And in the verses also it is given, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Ete chamsha kalak pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vrigayanti Yuge Yuge. So this is what is given about the information. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam is written in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so as I said, somebody can be a Lakpati or Arapati, but Lord Vishnu alone is Lakshmipati. So now you might get a doubt, you're saying Krishna and you're saying Vishnu, are they both same? Okay, so for this point of time, I can tell you one thing. What is the difference between Krishna and Vishnu? And some people say actually Krishna came from Vishnu. No, but actually Lord Vishnu came from Krishna for the purpose of material creation. And how to understand Krishna, the difference between Krishna and Vishnu? So an easy way to understand is like we have our prime minister, let's say Narendra Modi ji. So the same Narendra Modi, when he is in his office taking care of the all the official affairs. That aspect is Lord Vishnu. But when back at home, okay, maybe he's not, Narendra Modi does not have a family, but generally back at home, when a prime minister spends time with family, with his friends, with his children, yeah, with his wife, etc., that aspect, that's the real side of the person. So that is Krishna. So same person in office is Vishnu, the same person at home is Krishna. So that's the difference. And Krishna is the origin of even Lord Vishnu. Yes, so that is the attraction principle. What we have learned till now is the attraction principle. Where is the principle of attraction originating? Who is the possessor of all the six opulences? So next is boss and das. So let us see what is this concept. Yeah, so just like the prime minister of the country is the leader of all the citizens, similarly, God is somebody who is the chief leader of the entire universe. As we said, the mastermind behind the mysterious universe. And by aligning with God, we are happy. And by not aligning, we become unhappy. The simple example is there is government of India. If we align by the laws of the government, we are a happy citizen. At the same time, if we go against the laws of the government, we are penalized, we suffer, and we are even sent to jail. Similarly, these are the laws of the government, but there are also laws of the universe. So when that is created by the lawmaker, who is Krishna himself, the Lord himself. So when we align our lives as per the laws of nature, as per the laws of God, we are happy. And all the distress that we are facing, all the calamities, for example, currently the COVID that we are facing right now, all this disaster, the pandemic, why did it even come about? It is because the man has destroyed the ecosystems, exploited the nature, and this is simply the reaction of nature. So whenever the laws are broken, punishment comes. Simple. Yeah, for every action is equal and opposite reaction. So by aligning ourselves with the laws of God, a person becomes happy. And by turning away, a person becomes unhappy. So it is a person's individual choice. Each of you present here, it is one's own individual choice, whether I want to align with the laws of God or whether I do not want to align. It's my choice. But at least one should know what are the laws of God. That is a purpose of human life. Some people say, no, ignorance is bliss. I don't know, I live my life the way I want, the way I feel is the right. But there is also another saying, ignorance may be bliss, but ignorance of law is no excuse. When it comes to doing something faulty, for example, a person goes and murders somebody and he says that I did not know that if I'm murdered, I am punishable. But that does not mean he will be exempted from the charge of murder. He will be arrested and he will be put in jail. That means ignorance of law is no excuse. So are God's laws, or the laws of the universe. Okay. And another concept of God. Some people have this concept that God means he's some light. He has no form. But that is untrue. God is a person. Just like you are a person, I am a person. Similarly, God is also a person. But he is the perfect person. So for example, we spoke about this in the first session. When you see something that is very well managed, the first thing we think is, who is the manager behind? Similarly, a well-managed universe behind that is a person behind. So, I mean, as I said, a well-managed office means there is a good manager behind. A well-managed MNC means there's also a CEO behind. A well-managed country means a good prime minister behind. Yeah. So similarly, the well-managed universe, which is just executing such a wonderful, flawless laws, that means there is also a person behind that. So that person, Krishna himself declares in the Gita that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds and everything emanates from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvita. So in the 10th chapter, 8th verse, Krishna tells about his that this whole universe is emanating from me. I am the source of the spiritual and material worlds. Very, very clear. First session, remember, we're all trying to understand who is this person behind, who is the mastermind behind this universe, who is the artist behind all the artistry, yeah, who is the beautiful organizer behind the organization, who is the lawmaker behind the laws. So all these questions are answered in the Gita. Krishna is telling, I am the source of all the spiritual worlds. Yeah. So the next question is, sometimes, so last week we have discussed so many concepts about how we are not this body, we are the soul. Okay. So next question generally that comes is, then where did the soul come from? What is its origin? So as if, we just saw that all these opulences have their origin in Krishna. So what about the soul? What is the origin of the soul? Where did it come from? Yeah. So there is beautiful description in the Shastras that the soul originally belongs to something called spiritual world, where everything is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. As I said, the nature of the soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. That means it is eternal, it is full of knowledge, and it is full of bliss. But this nature is incompatible with this material nature, because in the material world, everything is asat, it is not eternal, it is temporary, and everything is dead, it is not chit, the substance is not chit. See, if you see matter around, matter is dead. And bliss, of course, Krishna declared this material world as dukhalaya, there is no ananda. So but then the soul belongs to the environment which is actually also Satchidananda, and that is nothing called the spiritual, nothing but the spiritual world. There is something called spiritual world, which we sometimes read as Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, we're all familiar with the word called Vaikuntha. So the word Vaikuntha itself means where there is no anxiety. Kuntha means anxiety. Vaikuntha means there is no, a place where there is no anxiety is called Vaikuntha, or spiritual world. So that is the home of every jiva, every soul that is currently existing on this planet Earth, or in any other of the 14 planetary systems. Yeah, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Mahaloka, and Satyaloka. Satyaloka is the topmost planet where Brahmaji resides. Or below Earth planet, there is Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. There are 7 planetary systems down, 14 planetary systems. So every soul existing in any of these 14 planetary systems, their real home is the spiritual world. That is where the soul belongs to. That's the real home. So as you see in the picture here right now, that's a spiritual world, painting of the spiritual world. So in the spiritual world, what is life like? Yeah, there's a description of this also in the Brahma Samhita. In the spiritual world, every word is a song, every walk is dance, and water is like nectar, and all living beings are pure, and there is no old age, disease, or death. This is spiritual world. So we have learned that the problems of material world, what are these problems? The 4 problems, real problems: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, disease. And these 4 problems are a part of material world. It means part and parcel of material world. And these 4 problems exist in all the 14 planetary systems, even in Swargaloka. Then where is a place which is free from all these 4 real problems? That place is the spiritual world, or the Vaikunthas, or the Goloka Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet. So the description in the Shastras say that, in that spiritual world, every word is like a song. That means you don't have to work hard to be a singer. You have love and devotion for the Lord, songs automatically come from you. Yeah, and every walk is a dance. Whatever, that means there is grace in every step, because all beings are so perfect. and water is like nectar. And also, I'll tell you one more feature of the spiritual world: time is absent. So, for example, in material world, there is time. See, right now, what's the time now? It is 4:51, and as I'm talking, few seconds have already passed by, and I cannot go back to the past 4:51 and that second. Yeah, time is ticking away. That means time is actually destroying this world every second. In fact, every cell that we have is in the process of degeneration. It is said in every 7 years, all the cells are completely degenerated and are replaced by new ones. Excuse me. Excuse me. But in the spiritual world, excuse me. Time is present by its absence. Excuse me, I'll just have some water. Let's just pause. Okay, I'll just go back to the presentation. Yeah, so that is the spiritual world. This is a very, very small and short description. It's like a trailer, not even a trailer, tip of an iceberg. Okay. So this is where the soul originally belongs to. And see, we all know that none of us want to die, right? All of us want to be alive. Even as doctors, you see sometimes the patient comes in the final stages and the relatives say, just keep him alive. I'm willing to pay any amount. Yeah, because nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live. Why? Because that is the original nature of the soul. The soul is eternal. It has no death. But the body has to die because the body is temporary. So the desire to be deathless and eternal is natural because that is the nature of the soul. But the desire to be eternal in this material world, that is the foolishness. It's a wrong place. That means if you're trying to desire to live, to be eternal in this material world, it is something like you're going into water and trying to be dry in the water. It's like that. The desire to be eternal is true, but it is in the spiritual world because it's the nature of the spiritual world where time is absent. So there is no deterioration, there is no death, old age, or disease. And everybody is eternally existing. Okay, this is short information. And that is our real home. Yeah. And that is our real home. And so what is the solution to all the problems? The solution to all the problem is to actually return to the home after death. That's the solution to the problem. So live this life in a way that actually takes us to that ultimate goal of going back to our eternal home, rather than sticking around a place which is always full of miseries, and there is always a chance of going into the soul migrating into lower species where we might not have the facility to actually inquire about the higher truths of life. That is the big risk in material world. That is why we should make our goal to return back to that home where we came from, and after understanding that is the goal, follow the process which takes us to that goal. The description of the spiritual world is also given in Bhagavad Gita. In Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that Natad bhasayate shuryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. He's telling that this is my abode. Natad bhasayate suryo. That means material world is illuminated by sun and moon, right? But in spiritual world, there is no need of sun and there is no need of moon. Why? Because everybody around them is effulgent. Everybody is shining. Not everybody, everything is shining there. Self-effulgent place. You don't need an artificial I mean, another source of light to illuminate the place. Na suryo na shashanko na pavakaha. That there is no fire also, fire or electricity in the spiritual world. And yad gatva nani vartante. If you have once reached there, then you don't have to come back to this material world again. Tad dhamam paramamama. That is my abode, Krishna is describing in Gita. That supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon or by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. This is given in Gita. So actually, in the beginning of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was under major stress that he did not want to fight the battle, because in the opposite side he was seeing his kith and kin, he was seeing his relatives, and so he did not want to fight. So he was confused about his duty basically. So when he was confused, what did he do? He took shelter of Krishna and he said, "My dear Krishna, you are my guru. Please accept me as your disciple and instruct me." And that is when Krishna has spoken about Bhagavad Gita. So this is the mood of accessing spiritual knowledge. So whenever we are in problems, generally what is our shelter? We either, try to watch a movie, or we try to just go past that problems. One of you in your, when I asked you why you want to attend this session, one of you has answered that I want to attend this session because I want to learn how to face the difficulties of life. That is what exactly the whole Gita is about. Arjuna was under the greatest crisis. What was the crisis? He was just standing in front of the whole army before the world war. It's the biggest world war ever fought. And at that time, he was in confusion about his duty. So at that time, he took shelter of Krishna. So I think none of us are in a greater emergency as compared to Arjuna. So Arjuna was in such a situation of emergency. He has to go and fight the biggest war. At that time, he took shelter of Krishna and heard Bhagavad Gita. Generally, these days, if you ask people to, please attend Gita classes, they say they have no time. Can there be a greater emergency than what Arjuna was facing? No. At that time, he heard Gita. It was spoken on the battlefield. And yet we say that we don't have time. So that is funny. That means we don't have a knowledge where our self-interest is satisfied. It's simple. Yeah. So when Arjuna said, Arjuna approached Krishna, and Krishna, being the supreme lord and well-wisher of his devotee, he spoke the Gita. So Krishna is also, another name of Krishna is Bhaktavatsala. Bhaktavatsala means he really loves his devotees so much. And the moment they call him, he's ever ready to help them. Any amount. It is said the Lord, he hears the cry of even a small ant. And he's ever ready to help each person once they approach him. That is how personal he is, and how beautiful a personality the Supreme Lord is. Yeah, when Draupadi in the Asat Sabha, when she was being disrobed by Dushasan, she was left in a helpless position. Nobody could help her. As great a personality as Bhishma Dev, and powerful personality like Drona, and all the 5 Pandavas, Yudhishthir Maharaj is Dharmaraj, and the greatest warrior Bhima and Arjuna, none of them could save her. Only and only when she raised her hands and she cried out to Krishna as her only shelter, that's when she got, that's when Krishna himself came and helped her in that most difficult time and situation of her life. So Krishna never fails in his protection to his devotees. Yeah. So that is the beauty of the Supreme Lord, and how he is a person, and how much he loves his devotees. Yeah, that is also the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, is that just abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja, and I will give you freedom from all sinful reaction. Krishna assures that. And it is also the final verse of Bhagavad Gita states that Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Pato Dhanudarak Tatra Shri Vijayodhutir Dhruvani Tirmatirmama. Generally, whenever we think of Bhagavad Gita, what the picture that we get is, when is Bhagavad Gita read? Unfortunately, they say that Bhagavad Gita is read when somebody passes away in the house. That is when you keep the recording of Ghantasala, who recites Bhagavad Gita. No, but okay, fine. They have at least, and they're at least playing Gita at that time. But Bhagavad Gita is not meant to be heard only at the time of death. It is a user manual of life. We all have something like we have user manual as to how to use a refrigerator or how to use a laptop. By you reading the user manual, you'll know how to use a machine. Similarly, how to lead this life with this body. The user manual is for life is that Bhagavad Gita. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, we understand how to live this life effectively. And people have another misconception that if we take up to spiritual life and read scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, a person becomes very inactive. They were not active in their worldly duties. But no, what is the result of hearing Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna has fought such a fierce war and he became, the ruler of the entire world. That is how much Krishna empowered him when he did his duty. And it is said, whenever there is Gita, wherever there is, the recitation of Gita going on, when there is Krishna, Yatra Yogesh, where there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is Shri. Shri means there is opulence. Vijaya, there is victory. And there is extraordinary power and morality. All these things simultaneously exist when a person truly understands the principles of Gita and tries to live by those principles. And this is the verdict of the Lord. So everybody is eager to be successful. But what is that formula for success? This formula for success, the success that is long lasting, that is based on morality, and that which gives true satisfaction, is achieved by following the principles in Gita. Yeah. So we all know the story of Mahabharata, that how Pandavas were only 5 and the Kauravas were 100, and even before the entire Kurukshetra war began, the whole Pandavas army was much lesser. They had many, I think, four Akshaunis of soldiers less than the Kauravas, but yet Pandavas have won because Krishna is on their side, guiding them. So on whosever side there is Lord Krishna, victory is guaranteed. Yeah. So now let us see how to choose between the original and fake. What is original and what is fake? Can anybody guess what is substance and what is shadow? What is original and what is fake based on what you have learned till now? Okay, it's a little difficult to guess. I will tell you what it is. Okay, this is all about anything that is based on bodily conception. Yeah, that is something that is not long lasting and it leads to disappointments. For example, we develop relationships with people based on a bodily identification. That means whomever you see in the mirror or whom you think you are, you're this body, and whoever is related to this body, you think they are mine. And you form relationships, and these relationships, yes, you invest so many emotions in that and love in that, and we think that's the whole and soul of life. But there is much beyond, because in this body you are attached to these people around, but when this soul leaves this body and goes to the next body, there's another set of people. Yeah, and the emotions that you have invested and the love that you have invested in the people around you, be it friends or relatives or anybody, it has a beginning and it has an end also. It has to end someday or the other, because that's what it's death all about. And you have to start all fresh new relationships again. So that means that which you are thinking will last is actually not lasting. That which you want to last also does not last. because death comes and stops it. So that is the reality. But then what is it? Why is there the propensity to love somebody? You know, we all have this propensity to love someone dearly, be it our friends or our parents or our sisters or some special people in our life. We love them. We want to love them, and we want to show our love through different gestures and expressions. Why? Because that is the nature of the soul. What is the nature of the soul? The nature of, just like the nature of the salt is to taste sweet. The nature of the salt is to taste salty. Nature of sugar is to taste sweet. Similarly, that nature is called dharma. We heard of this name dharma many times, right? Dharma means the nature. Similarly, just like the nature of salt is to taste salty and sugar is to taste sweet, the nature of the soul is to love and express that love in through service. That is the nature of the soul. And to whom that love belongs to actually is the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So just like water and liquid cannot be separated, salt and saltiness cannot be separated, heat cannot be, fire cannot be separated from heat and light. So what is it that cannot be separated from a living entity? The living entity's propensity to love someone, the propensity to express that love to someone in the form of a service. Just like mother, she cannot stop loving her child. However late in the night, or if you see, especially mothers with small children, how much of service they do to their children, nobody can do it. It's a full-time service and never paid a single penny for it. How much of selfless love a mother shows a child? Why and how? Because it's a very nature of the soul to express their love to someone. Yeah. So every living entity, it renders service to someone. Service means the expression of love. But that service, or it ends when the person dies. Yeah. So every being. So basically, the original nature of the soul is to love and serve God. Just like, as I said, originally the soul belongs to the spiritual world, and the love of the soul was originally towards the Supreme Lord and his devotees. But currently, when it is in the material world, this love is misdirected towards the relationship that are based on the bodily identification. And that is why these relationships always lead to frustration at one point or the other, because either because of the number of tiffs we have, or finally, or it has to end at the time of the death. That is the reason why the relationships end in, they all have to end someday. Either we die or the other person dies. Yeah. So death stops our connection. So, but one more word of caution here, that does not mean that we stop loving people around us, but we continue to love and serve and express our emotions, but by being in knowledge that this is not all in all. Like, for example, Arjuna has heard the entire Gita from Lord Krishna, but few days after the war has started, his son Abhimanyu dies. Abhimanyu was killed brutally by all the Kauravas. So Arjuna begins to cry so much. Incessantly he was crying and crying over the death of his son. Then you might ask, oh, he already understood that he's not that body, he's a soul, why is he crying? No, does not mean that you stop having emotions for your people, but you do have emotions, but you express them appropriately, and these emotions won't stop you from your duties. Like, for example, Arjuna has expressed his love for Abhimanyu by crying, and after that he took vengeance also by killing the Jayadratha, who was the cause of Abhimanyu's death. So, but but one is situated in the reality that, this is the body has perished. Yes, I miss that body, which has been a medium of exchanging love. But I understand that the soul has reached a good destination. So this is a complete holistic understanding of the journey of a soul. And that does not lead a person in despair and bewilderment for long time. Yeah. So what I was saying is, the propensity to love is there in every living entity, and we repose it on different people. But when it is reposed on God Himself, because God is eternal, the soul is eternal. So the living relationship between the soul and the super soul, or the jiva and paramatma, that relationship is eternal, and that love is eternal. So we all speak about soulmate, we all speak about eternal love, but the reality is that eternal love is truly existing between the soul and Lord Krishna. That is the reality. Remaining all the so-called loves of this world, they have a beginning and an end. They don't last, they're temporary. So that is the difference between original and fake. Yeah. So that eternal love and service to God is called Sanatan Dharma. And this is a universal principle. It is not that I am an Indian, that is why I love Krishna. No, this is a universal principle. There is, the soul is just covered by different bodies, the body of an Indian, or a body of a Russian, or a body of a European, or a body of an American. But the soul is the soul, Satchit Ananda. And that soul is eternally related to God in a relationship. And Sanatan Dharma is therefore a universal principle. It is not constrained by any sect or religion. It is universal. So that is the function of the soul. So, okay, now tell me, what is amnesia? Have you ever heard of the word amnesia?
Loss of memory, ma'am.
Ah, very good. Who said that?
Madhushri, ma'am.
Madhushri. Madhushri is a very intelligent girl. I'm very happy to have a nice student like you, Madhushri. Yes, amnesia means loss of memory. Yeah, a person, when he loses his memory, what happens to him? What are the symptoms of amnesia? How do you recognize?
He forgets what he has done, his relationships.
Ah, that means he will not identify his own people. His own parents are standing in front of him, he cannot identify them. He said, I don't know who they are. It's the complete forgetfulness of his relationships. So the soul, which I said, has a eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. But when the soul comes to the material world, it is in state of something called a spiritual amnesia, in forgetfulness of that relationship. See, for example, today I am talking to you about it, but does any of us really know that actually, yes, I have that relationship and I have forgotten about it? No, none of us remember. Why? Because that is what is spiritual amnesia. And to cure that amnesia itself is the purpose of life. And that's how we return to our original homes. Yeah, just as a man suffering from amnesia forgets his parents and relatives, we have forgotten our love and service to God. And so, having forgotten God, we are reposing the same love and service in the people around us and in all temporary and false relationships. But these relationships are finished with time. Yeah, some people are centered around their spouse or family or money, or some people are dedicated to their work or possessions or passions or pets or friends or enemies. They become the center of our lives. Yeah. So when they become the center of our lives, all these things cause a lot of pain and loss of a lot of disturbance. Why? Because we are reposing our original loving propensity towards something that is temporary. So when we are reposing that in a temporary object, any changes, temporary means it is not constant, it keeps changing, it's not the same. That is why any changes here is always affecting us, affecting our heart so badly. But when we repose the same loving propensity in something that is constant, where it originally is, belongs to, that's when the happiness is constant. Yeah, there is no bewilderment. That is why you see some of the devotees, for example, you see the devotees like Annamacharya, who has written some such beautiful kirtans. All his kirtans are such ecstasies. Yeah, and he is a constant, is in a state of constant bliss, experiencing that relationship with God and composing such amazing kirtans. If you, I don't know if any of you is a classical singer here. If you just look into the work of Annamacharya, how beautiful! Not just Annamacharya, any of the saints you take, the works of any saints who are in total love and devotion to the Lord. It's so beautiful, and the kind of bliss they're experiencing is, it's not disturbed by anything, and they can leave anything behind to attain to that bliss. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then I will just go fast because we are running short of time. It's already 5:18. So, what about the material world and material beauty? It is temporary and it's like a mirage, and they are gone with the passage of time. So, till now you have done some journey through this course, right? You have learned about who's a mastermind, who've learned about something about the how to access the truth beyond the four defects. You've learned something about what is the why we all search for happiness, and you all understood about the difference between matter and spirit. Yeah, and you also learned today about how the soul is originally connected to the Supreme Lord in a loving relationship. So all through this entire knowledge, you have passed through a journey, and at this juncture comes a kind of crossroads where, not just at this juncture, you get this juncture many times in your life, where you have a freedom to choose, because free will is something the Lord has given every person, every living entity. What is it? Free will. You can choose your path at any point of time with the knowledge that has been given to you. In fact, Krishna spoke the entire Gita to Arjuna, and at the end of towards the end of Gita, Krishna says, Yathechiti tatha kuru. That means, what I have given you all this transcendental knowledge, and now you do what you feel is right. He gives the onus to Arjuna. Similarly, after understanding the entire concepts, it is up to every individual to choose one's path. Should I take the path of alignment to God, or should I take the path of non-alignment to God? Every time, actually, life gives us choice every moment. And who are great souls? Great souls are those who always make the right choices that lead one to the ultimate goal. And souls who are lost are those who make the wrong choices. I mean, the choices which take them away from the goal. Yeah, that's when, see, a person in his life has different goals. There is something called the ultimate goal. Before that is the long-term goal. Before that is the medium-term goal. Then there is short-term goal. There is immediate goal. Yeah, we have these goals: immediate, medium, short term, then long term, and ultimate goal. So all these goals are in alignment with each other. Then our life's journey is in perfect harmony. We are moving forward in a positive direction. But we know our ultimate goal is something, or sometimes, many a times, people don't even know what the ultimate goal is. Yeah, we have an ultimate goal, but my immediate goal is something else. That means it's not a right journey. That journey takes you nowhere. Yeah, similarly, right now, I mean, after having heard, you have understood about what is the spiritual world. Yeah, and there is a road that leads you to that spiritual world, and there is a road that does not lead you to spiritual world. I mean, that leads you to inauspicious destinations. There are two different roads. So it is up to every individual in this world to choose which road to take. And it is the one thing is, each and every one of us has the power to choose, and one should also take the responsibility to one's choices. That's what life is all about, right? To take responsibility to one's choice. Yeah. So next question is, okay, ma'am, you told that the soul belongs to spiritual world. Huh? In the first place, if everything was so beautiful at that place, everything is, every word is a song, every step is a dance, and all such amazing people to live with, and we have the association of God Himself. Why did we leave such a place, and why did we come to this material world in the first place? Yeah, that's where what I'm talking about, free will. Krishna never interferes with the soul's free will. If they want to go and enjoy separate from Krishna, that is when Krishna provides a separate place for them. Okay, you want to enjoy separate from me, there is a separate place where you can continue with your program. Like, for example, just like a loving father, a child who does not know how to drive a car, but he says, no, 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 I want to drive a car, I want to drive a car. He buys him a small car, artificial one, and said, you drive here. You don't drive the original one, it crashes. So that's how, the Lord Krishna gives a separate place for all the souls who are eager to enjoy separate from him. Not eager, let me say, who are hell bent on, enjoying separate from him. That's how the soul makes its journey into the material world. But when the soul comes into the material world, what is its position? The position is exactly like a fish taken out of water. When the fish is taken out of water, no matter what you give to the fish, you give the best of food, you give the best of comforts, luxuries, but still the fish will be flapping. It's never happy. It is happy only it is placed back in the water, because that is its natural position. Similarly, no matter what you give the person, the soul, whatever external comforts, luxuries, relationships, no matter what, the fish, the jiva, the soul is never satiated. The soul is always looking for something more and something else, and spends lifetimes and lifetimes not understanding what is that something that I'm looking for. This is a reality. We all, we think that this one is going to make me happy. Just this one more thing, and I will be happy. Just this one more thing, I'll be happy. This one more degree, I will be happy. This one more post graduation, I'll be happy. And after that, this PhD, I will be happy. In this position, I will be happy. But actually, when you go get that, you'll have the next plan. Why? Because this plan is not making me completely happy. Isn't this a reality of what we are living in? Why at any point of time we are not feeling that fulfillment and happiness? Because we are exactly like the fish out of water. We don't belong to this place, and I'm trying to get that happiness to which I am actually originally habituated to, but that is not here. That is what the Vedas are giving us the information. Anandamayo bhyasat. Every Vedanta sutra tells that every living entity is searching for pleasure, but one should also know where that pleasure exists. So that pleasure in its fullest extent exists back in the spiritual world, our original home. So I will give you a small analogy. For example, a person, a small boy or a small child, you take them to the exhibition, and you show them all the rides and everything, and all of a sudden the child loses his he was busy enjoying all these rides and all these nice lollipop, or that what is that, peach mitai and everything he's eating. He was very, very happy. Now all of a sudden he looks back and see his parents are not there. Yeah, and he starts crying and crying and crying, and he no longer enjoys all these rides or any dolls or any chocolates. Nothing will be able to pacify him. Yeah, then if you are in the position of actually spotting that small child, what will you do to that child to appease that child? Yes, how will you help this child who is lost in that exhibition?
We will take him to his parents.
That's simple. The most meaningful way of making him happy is take him back to his parents. Because no matter what you give him, you'll tell him you'll go another ride on the giant wheel, he'll start crying. He'll say, give the best of the chocolates. No. You want to play with these dolls? No, I want only mom and dad. So take him back to his parents. That's when he is happy. So that is the story of every soul in this material world. Nothing can make us happy. The only thing that can make us happy is by reconnecting ourselves to the eternal parents or the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So this is any amount of luxuries cannot give happiness. Yeah. So we're like the lost son of a billionaire father. I will tell you one more example. Sometimes the most popular myth amongst people around us that why do we need so many temples, or why do we need so many, instead of that have more hospitals, especially currently this is the talk that is going on, right? Why do we need temples? Why do we need religious institutions? Instead invest on hospitals and altruistic activities, because you should feed the person first. You should give him food. So so I will tell you the story of the billionaire, the son of a billionaire father. So one day you're traveling by a car, yeah, and suddenly the car stops because there is a signal. And when the car stopped, a small boy comes begging at your door, knocking at the door, and begging for some money. So when you bring down your car screen and you see that's a small boy, and you think that you feel that you have seen him somewhere. By taking a closer look, you realize actually he's the son of your friend who is a big billionaire, but now he is, begging on the street. So what will you offer this begging boy? What is the best way you can help this person? How can you help this small boy? Yes, how will you help this small boy?
To take him to his father.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Best way you can help this small child is take him back to his father and drop him where he belonged to. So that is exactly what temples are meant to do, or a spiritual or any guru is meant to do. Take the person back and reconnect them with the Supreme Lord. And that's the best service that you can do the humanity at large. Of course, all the other activities are also important, but this is the most important, and that is the permanent solution for all the problems. If you feed them something, after 3 hours, again the person will be hungry. But when you reconnect that person to their original source, then you have solved all the problems of the person's life. Okay, so that is how spirituality is the ultimate solution to all problems of humanity. Okay, hello, I think, yes, I'll just tell this and we will wind up. There is this famous multi-billionaire in US, and he has made some amazing comments in his speech while referring to the Indian family systems. He was highly impressed with the Indian family systems. And this is what he spoke about, called Bill Britt, in one of the talk shows. He said, US is a mighty country, but where is our culture going to? And he said, the whole culture of the US it's full of drugs, violence, divorces, and illicit sex, illicit relationships. That's the American dream. He's saying that look at India. He was saying about, I admire their culture. Do you know, by the way, why Indians do so well in the foreign countries? Why they are given such big positions? And even the CEOs of many of the like many big companies like Satya Nadella and all of them, why they're coming from Indian families? I mean, why they're given such big positions, even though they're not Americans as such? It is because they come from Indian families whom you can trust for their stability. Yeah, when you're coming from a good family, that means you have inherited that culture, their tradition, and their heritage, and you're a stable person. You won't, this generally who have come from good families, they don't run around and get into these nonsensical affairs and all that. A person from a good family has a very good character, and they excel wherever they are in their career or any place. That is why they're in the West, people are eager to take Indians into certain jobs because they work hard, they're consistent, and they're trustworthy. Why? Because they come from good families. So that's what this person is saying. Look at India, admire their culture. They've got much better families and values. They've got much better parents than we do. And you know what he said? Yeah, the families are much more united than us. I respect their values. And he said, if one more very bold statement he made, it is, he said, unfortunately, but the youngsters are being influenced by US media, blind imitation of West. If you see even the latest movies, people are crazy about, blindly imitating the Western way of life. The way they drink, the way they, are into such nonsensical habits. They simply want to imitate. And especially in medical colleges, horrible. This culture is, my God, what all goes on in the name of ragging. I don't know if it is existent in current scenario, but ragging is done in a very horrible way in medical colleges. And hostels are full of these drunkards. Unfortunately, you go and speak about liver cirrhosis, but what are you doing back in the hostel? It's a nightmare to anybody if they have to come and see in the medical hostels what these people are prescribing, what they are practicing. There is no relationship only. Okay, things apart. So many youngsters are being influenced by media. They are being influenced by the wrong culture. And you see the next statement, you'll be shocked. He said, if I were the Prime Minister of India for 15 minutes, he said what he would do? He will shoot all the Western channels out of the beautiful country. What are the Western channels? All these nonsensical Channel V or AXN or FTV, etc., etc. He said, I will shoot all those channels so that, India remains free from the influence of the West. And thereby it retains its original culture and heritage. This is spoken by an American billionaire. Huh? So that is the glory of our culture. And we have to be really proud of the cultural roots that we have and the tradition that we belong to, and we should always imbibe it, practice it, and pass it on to the next generation. That is the greatest legacy we can leave, the greatest good we can do to ourselves and people around us. And on the other hand, so many youngsters these days are very fascinated about having a free life. I don't want to follow the rules of the families or the traditions. I want to live a free life. What is this concept? This concept is a Western concept. Those people want a free life because they come from broken families. They don't have a concept of family. But when we blindly try to imitate that Western life, calling it a free life, so many people have ended up in such a disaster. Yeah, such disaster. And getting into drinking, drugs, and whatnot. So this is the reality. And enchanting beauty. Okay, we'll just quickly go from this. We are running short of time. Yeah, we have seen this. So now, till now, we have discussed about how, we all have this natural tendency to repose our loving propensity in someone. So how to identify that someone? I mean, that someone is Lord Krishna, as I said, he's the friend of your heart and the Lord of our life. And not just one, it is so for every living entity. Yeah. So just by serving the Supreme Lord, yeah, the living entity experience the highest pleasure. For example, you see in the itihasas, the way how Lord Hanumanji has served Lord Ram and Sita, Mother Sita. You see how Lakshmana has served Ram and Sita in the entire period of Vanavas of 14 years. Lakshmana has never slept even one night. He was always awake, just guarding Mother Sita and Lord Ram. That was his service to his, Lord of his heart. And what all services Hanumanji has done to Lord Ram. They're amazing. They're simply so beautiful to read in the great epic Ramayana. In Ramayana, actually, if you see, every personality exemplifies such great service attitude. I will give you a small example. You know, the Kausalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, right? They three are the wives of Dashrath Maharaj. So first, Kaushalya had her first son, that is Lord Rama. Then Kaikeyi had her son Bharata. Then it was Sumitra's son. So when Sumitra was taking the payasam, she said that let my sons be the servants of Lord Ram and Bharata. This was her consciousness. Yeah, these days all of us want our children to be the best, the toppers, the leaders, the greatest, the highest. But see the consciousness of Sumitra. She said, let my sons be the servants of Ram and servant of Bharat. So that's with that Sankalpa, she took that payasam. And as a result of it, she gave birth to two sons who are Lakshmana and Shatrugna. So Lakshmana was a constant companion and servant of Ram, and Shatrugna was a constant companion of Bharat. This is the expression of somebody's love for the Lord. So I mean the whole Vedic literature is completely about the stories of these devotees of Lord and how they express their love through their service. So yeah, the soul is actually a cooperator and not a competitor of God. So soul is dependent servant of God and not an independent master. That is the true nature of the soul. So how can you become happy? Now the next question is, going back to a last session about search for happiness. So how can I be happy in this world, even in this world? How can a person attain to happiness? I will tell you two simple analogies. Okay, the two analogies are, if you want a tree to flourish, what do? You water the root, right? You don't go and water the leaves and twigs and flowers. You simply water the root. If you water the root, the whole tree is nourished. Similarly, if you simply repose your loving propensity towards loving and serving the Supreme Lord, God, then automatically your entire life is nourished. The tree of this humanity is nourished. And we attain to real happiness. I'll give you another example. Another example is, for example, every soul is part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Yeah, so Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. It's called the Bhokta. So just like the finger cannot be happy simply by eating food. If the finger has to be happy, what should it do? It has to take the food, put it in the mouth, and that food goes into the stomach, it gets digested, and it supplies the nourishment to different parts of the body. So for the finger to be happy, it should just simply pick up the food and give the food to the mouth and thereby to the stomach. If the finger thinks that I will be happy on my own, and it just tries to, put the, place itself in the gulab jamun, even for hours together or days together, it won't get any nourishment. It gets the nourishment when it puts the food into the stomach. That means it should serve the stomach, and then the finger gets the nourishment. Similarly, the part and parcel of Krishna, they have to be nourished. They want to receive happiness, serve the real bhokta, the real enjoyer, who is the Supreme Lord. Then automatically one becomes happy. Yeah. So just like all parts of the tree are nourished by simply watering the root, and just like all senses are nourished by feeding the stomach, yeah, the part and parcel soul can become happy by serving the Supreme Lord. This is the analogy. Yeah. So that's the source of real happiness, lasting happiness, eternal happiness, by service to the Supreme Lord. So that's all for today. I think I'll just quickly conclude it. So by learning to align with God and nature, one can have a healthy heart and return back to spiritual world. So this is by following the principles of Bhagavad Gita, we can make our life in such a way Yeah, we have the opportunity to mold our lives in such a way that in this life we are happy, we are fulfilled, we are satisfied, and at the end of life we reach the highest destination of going back to Godhead by simply the following the principles of Gita and taking up the process that is given for us. Yeah. Okay, divine and demoniac. Give me some different. Okay, give me some examples of divine qualities and demoniac qualities. First, we will start with divine. Example of divine quality.
One is humble,
Excellent.
eternal,
Wonderful. Divine, one of the divine qualities is humility. Humility is such a natural symptom of those who are devoted to God. Very nice. I mean, it's a very deep statement actually. Very deep actually. Yeah. It is realized at a very advanced stage of one's path in spiritual journey. True. Humility is a natural symptom of a person who is God conscious. Who said that?
Madhushri.
Madhushri. Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about a demoniac quality. One more, give one example of a demoniac quality.
One is arrogant,
Lazy.
One is lazy. You said lazy? Okay, one is lazy and
arrogant,
arrogant. Yes, one is arrogant. Can you give some example from scripture of a person who is arrogant?
Ravana, Duryodhana,
All these people exemplify demoniac qualities, arrogance, pride. Anything else? Any more demoniac qualities?
greed,
Greed, excessive greed. Yes. How much of greed Ravana had? My God. And any more examples other than Ravana and Duryodhana? How much of greed Duryodhana had? It was, I mean, when we go to the Gita classes, I will give you an entire understanding of Duryodhana's personality and what was his mistake. Any other example of demoniac personalities from scriptures?
Haranyakashipu,
Hiranyakashipu. Yes, who is the father of Prahlad Maharaj. He was another personification of greed and lust. Yes, these are all the demoniac qualities, and these are the personalities who exemplified demoniac nature. Can you give some examples, more examples of people who represent divine qualities?
Lord Krishna,
Yeah, Lord Krishna, he's the Supreme Lord himself. And who represent, like just like Hiranyakashipu was for demoniac qualities, who is an example of divine qualities?
Prahalad, Arjuna,
Arjuna, Prahlada, yes, all these are examples of divine qualities. Excellent, very good. Yeah, so shortly, divine means those who obey God's laws, demoniac means rebel against God's laws. Demoniac are selfish, divine are selfless, servants of Lord. Yeah, selfless. You know, you see the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. He was put into such terrible situations. He was thrown off a cliff. He was put into a pit of snakes. He was thrown into a dark room. Yes, and he was given the Kalakuta Visha, the verse of poison to drink. But despite all that, he continued his singing of Harinam. He didn't give it up. He continued his service. Okay, so that's selfless service to God. And divine means they consider everything as gift and mercy of God. But demoniac thing that I have achieved by my power, like Hiranyakasipu. Yeah, and demoniac means they live by the principle of just do it, just eat, drink, be merry. They say that now, who knows what is there after, whether life exists or not after death. So whatever right now you fully enjoy. So this is exactly the example of demoniac mentality. But a divine person, they think twice before acting. By following a spiritual and regulated life, one gets that intelligence to discriminate between what is divine and demoniac, and to the strength to make conscious choice towards a divine path. Yeah. And demoniac nature, they always want immediate pleasures, and they think those immediate pleasures are the goal. So right now, let me just enjoy. Yeah. And no, in fact, I've seen many girls in my own college because of this mentality, they crash into some relationships for immediate pleasure and certain habits. Yeah. And later they suffer so much mentally and even physically. It's such a trauma simply because they just give in to that allurement of immediate pleasures, thinking that they are the goal. But once, if a person understands what is the real purpose of life and understands there is a spiritual way to life, they get this ability to discriminate and the strength to make the right choices in life. That's why this is called the ultimate knowledge, ultimate empowerment in one's life. The kind of empowerment we can receive within our lives by taking this path, it's simply amazing. Even why, I mean, right now in this COVID pandemic crisis, all the health experts are saying for people who are going out of balance by simply staying at home, they say that whichever faith you're practicing, go deep into it. You will find a lot of peace and purpose in your life. All the health professions are also redirecting individuals into a spiritual path, because that's where they receive purpose in life. That's where they receive empowerment, the strength to bear reversals, the hardships. Okay, so I mean, another example of divine nature is eternal life of bliss and knowledge is the goal. They understand what is their goal, yeah, and they're goal oriented. So, example of demoniac nature is Duryodhana. Example of divine nature is Yudhishthir Maharaj. So, and also example of demoniac people is modern atheists, and example of divine people are the saintly devotees of God. So, this is what happens when the soul leaves the spiritual world. He forgets his true identity, foolishly thinks himself to be the body, and tries to get into enjoyment. Okay, so let's complete it. So, happy world and horrible world. It is up to us to make the choice, because every individual is given the free will. Nobody is forced into anything, because Krishna himself has awarded every living entity the free will to choose at every given situation in life. So it is up to us to choose the eternal reality of spiritual world as it is given in the Shastras, or be in ignorance thinking we are the material bodies. And repeatedly, there is this Bhajagovindam song of Shankaracharya. पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे खलु निष्ठारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे. So he's telling, punarapi jananam punarapi maranam, again and again going through the cycle of birth and death. Punarapi janani jatare shayanam is again going back into the womb of mother and sleeping. This is the cycle of birth and death. Iha samsare kalu dushtare. This whole samsara is so difficult to overcome. Kripaya pare pahi murare. He's praying to the Lord. He's urging to the Lord, you please make me cross over this ocean of birth and death. And only you can do it. So that is why he's telling his mind, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. O mind, please chant the names of Govinda. That's the only way to cross over this material world. Okay, so that's our choice. Yeah, should we choose the material body which is perishable, full of ignorance and pain, or should we try to reinstate ourselves in the spiritual body that is permanent, full of knowledge and bliss? What is the journey we are going to take? That is left to us. So Gita compares to be the material worlds to be like a tree that is upside down. Yeah, the original tree is the spiritual world, and the material world is like a reflection, where the roots are, on top and the leaves are down. There is a nice comparison that is given in the 15th chapter of Gita. Udhamulam adashyakam ashwatam prahuravayam. So there is a nice chandamsi yashya parinani yastam veda cha vedavid. One who knows, understands this difference between the material and spiritual world. One who analytically studies and finds out, details of this material tree, and which is a reflection of spiritual tree, will actually understand, the Supreme Lord. So this is the 15th chapter, first verse of Gita. So, for example, the easiest way to understand the difference between material and spiritual world is like, a real mango tree, which is on the bank of a river, and the reflection. So in the reflection, if you just go and try to pluck the mangoes and eat, do we get the mango, or do we get the taste, or do we get the juice? No, we're simply baffled. So if you want the real mango, go to the real tree. So spiritual world is that real tree. And the mangoes which we're all after, that means all those beautiful things which we are trying to chase after, that reality is there only in the spiritual world. What we are seeing in the material world is a reflection. That is why no matter how much we try to possess, capture happiness, we are unable to possess. Why? Because it's just a reflection that we are seeing. Okay. Yeah, so that's real, that is fake. So spiritual world is like real currency, and the material world is like the fake currency. So real mangoes and plastic mangoes, both of them look the same, but if you eat plastic mango, how do you feel? You don't get any taste. It's given also an example is, if you bite a bamboo stick and expect sugarcane juice out of it, you're simply bewildered. Similarly, with living in the material world, if you're expecting to be really happy, truly happy always, again, that is also bewilderment. Yeah, so that's where we end our class. So yes, the spiritual world is full of everlasting pastimes and immortal relationships, all beauty. So there is a beautiful poem. I'll send this to you. Okay, here is where we are going to end our session today. We are done. And next week will be the last session. And this doubt you might have all got by right now. This doubt is, if there is one God, then why there are so many religions in this whole world? There is Christianity, there is Islam, there is Hinduism, there is Taoism, there is this, that, there is so many, Jainism, Sikhism, everything. So does it mean there are different gods for different religions, or is there only one God? And so if there is only one God, why there are so many religions? So that will be our final concluding session next week. So thank you all very much. It's already 5:55. I don't think we have time for revision. Do you have any questions? Okay, if you have any questions, you can post them in the group. I will just quickly revise one thing and call it off. What is the definition of Bhagavan?
One who has all six appearances in infinite quantity.
Infinite quantity.
Simultaneously present.
Simultaneously present. And for how long?
Eternally.
For eternity. So opulences in infinite quantity, for eternity, and simultaneously. So what are the six opulences?
Beauty, wealth, fame.
Yes, beauty, wealth,
Beauty, wealth, knowledge, strength,
yeah,
fame,
yes,
Creation.
renunciation, yes. Can you give one example of pastime I told you in relation to strength, the infinite strength of God? One example I told you.
Govardhana.
Govardhanagiri. Excellent, wonderful. And one example, two examples of renunciation.
Sudama is
Sudamudu,
Yes, Sudhamudu, Inka?
Charity for Arjun.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Yes, these are two examples of renunciation. An example of knowledge. How you can say Supreme Lord is complete and infinite in his knowledge.
He himself said Bhagavad
Bhagavad
Gita to
Gita.
Arjun.
Yes, Bhagavad Gita is a small example of the knowledge of God. And he himself said that he is the knower of the Vedas. Yeah, and the one to be realized through the Vedas. Okay, good, wonderful. So we will meet next week with the last session. If there is one God, why there are so many religions? Thank you all very much for your enthusiastic participation. We will have our concluding session next week.